Finally!
This is where I finally watch a movie that you, Adrian, and everyone else seems to have seen. Believe it or not, I've never sat down and watched the entire movie Man of Steel from beginning to end until this past weekend. Okay. You believe that? Well, now you do.
Yeah, I do, actually.
But I mean, it's funny because I think the more that we've been doing this show, the more you've learned, more we learned about each other, right?
Sure.
And you've learned that I've not seen most movies.
Yeah.
I am, as I call it, movie bougie.
Okay.
If a movie is not known to be critically acclaimed, a lot of times I don't even want to fuck with it. So now I'm trying to let off on that. It's just like I've been burned too many times, you know?
Okay.
You get told the movie's good. You get told to check it out. You spend your hard-earned dollars on that movie, and then it becomes a giant fucking turd.
That.
Like, I remember, did you ever collect VHS, DVDs, anything like that?
Sure.
Yeah. I remember back when DVDs were big, they would release new DVDs every Tuesday. And this was like, dude, long before kids, and it was just me and my wife. So we'd take a weekly trip to back in the Walmart days, dude. Get some shopping, get some stuff. And we always would hit the DVD section and buy 1 to 2 DVDs. Whatever came out that week, we'd pick the best couple movies, buy them, and watch them.
Okay.
A lot of times they weren't that good. Sometimes they were really good. This was, before the MCU, all that good stuff. And so you said you did collect VHS, DVDs?
VHS.
Either one. VHS to the cassette. Or DVDs.
Okay,
yes.
you made it sound like it's one thing. I'm like, I was confused there for a second. Both, actually.
Both, okay.
I've bought both.
Got it. Were you like a new week, go by or
Nah, definitely not.
Okay.
It would definitely have to be something that I've already seen.
Okay.
Which means that I probably rented it or seen it in a theater. And I like it so much, I'm gonna go buy it.
Okay. Were you a big movie renter?
I wouldn't say a big movie renter because from my understanding about that fictitious company Blockbuster,
What's that?
was like people would be like bribing the dudes behind the register. Yo, dude, when the movie come out, put mine aside.
Right.
Here's $5. So I wasn't that person.
Okay.
I was that schmuck that showed up and like, damn, that movie's gone. Then I have to wait 6 more weeks.
Okay. Dude, my I'm an 80s baby, Adrian.
Yeah.
Born in 85. My generation was the Friday night Blockbuster, whatever's new, get a couple movies, maybe rent the game, get some Pizza Hut, get some, some shitty soda like Surge. Remember Surge back in the day?
No,
oh,
not
dude,
at all.
it was like a Mountain Dew on crack. That some RC Cola, bro. That was some good stuff.
I remember that.
Yeah.
It was not good.
I loved it, dude. And then, my favorite, dude, Dr. Pepper.
Okay.
Get some Pizza Hut, get some Domino's, some shitty ass food, play some GoldenEye, and rent the latest movie. So
Got it.
nowadays, though, everything's on streaming. So I'm making an effort. I say all that to say I'm making an effort to watch more of these movies that I may have missed out on, okay. For this segment here. So I finally watched Man of Steel, and I have some thoughts, okay? So this movie came out in 2013. I'll say this. The beginning of the movie, the birth, the whole trip to Earth, all that stuff looked really cool.
Yep.
I think it was a better looking, shorter version of the same origin of the Christopher Reeves movies.
Yeah.
That was more drawn out and looked like dog shat. Now,
Yeah.
but so it's funny that part was not as boring and drawn out. The best way to describe this movie as a whole is boring and drawn out. It was a fucking boring ass movie for me.
Okay.
I feel like it focuses on a time of Superman's life that nobody gives a fuck about.
Okay.
It focuses on kind of after the origin because we don't see much of him as a kid. Okay, that's fine. But it's pre-Clark working at the Daily Planet. It's pre-Clark and Lois. It's like they're meeting. And to me, it was not that interesting of a time. I didn't care. I found myself in the movie like, I don't give a fuck about anyone in this movie right now. There was a lot of unnecessary backstory. Now, a couple good things. I do agree that Henry Cavill looks the part probably better than anyone has of Superman so far. Even Christopher Reeve's the OG.
Oh yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
Just like I said, and this is what pisses me off about the DCEU. You had Ben Affleck, who looks like you took Bruce Wayne out of the comic book and threw him on your screen, the older Bruce Wayne.
Right.
And then you had Henry Cavill, who the same thing, looks like you took Superman that somebody drew and threw him on the screen.
Correct.
And you fucked that up.
Yeah.
6 ways from Sunday, as they say.
Agree.
Yes. Yeah, we're not even on agree to disagree yet, but you agree. But I will say the fights were cool. The powers looked fucking awesome. Superman moving through space like you talked about. That was done phenomenally.
I like the Black Adam movement better than the Superman movement.
Yeah, it's like they perfected what they started here. But it's very similar though.
Yes.
The way how quick he is, like he ain't moving, but he's moving type shit, you know? And the fights, they were cool, dude. I mean, you had Zod, who we big General Zod guy before this movie.
I
didn't even know.
No, not a fan, but he was integral to everything that happened to Superman and Krypton and so on and so forth.
Okay, so it made sense that
Zod is the reason that we understand the Phantom Zone.
Got it. Okay. Would you like this guy's portrayal of Zod?
It was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
It was a shame that they brought him back for the Flash, and he like didn't even say anything. Like he was barely in the movie. Anyways,
he became Doom.
What did he?
Yeah.
And which one?
I don't fucking know. The one where they had to resurrect him or whatever. They were trying to resurrect Clark after that was
Doomsday.
before that. Yeah, Doomsday.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. He
Got
became
it.
that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Batman vs Superman. Yes. I'm sorry, you said Doom, and I was thinking of like the better Doom, Victor Von Doom. But yes, he was. He was in Batman vs Superman. So, and then the killing of Zod. I knew about this because, like I said, I've seen most of this movie, but never all in one. And that is an issue that a lot of diehard DC fans have with this movie is why is Superman killing Zod? How'd you feel about Superman snapping Zod's neck in this movie?
The way they portrayed it, which is, what they do, they make it seem like it's necessary.
Yeah.
He was about to do some bad stuff.
But he couldn't stop him from...
All right,
we talked about his power.
First of all, I don't understand how Zod, who just showing up, has more experience with his power than Superman does. That speaks volumes by itself. Now,
but you don't think he should? Wasn't he around? Because he fought Superman's dad in this movie and killed him.
Yeah, but they were just two men.
Yeah.
Because remember, on Krypton, they're just normal people.
Right.
They don't have powers per se. So
I see what you're
two
saying.
men on Krypton and then two Kryptonians on Earth is the same thing. It's not like Superman is stronger than Zod.
Right.
But, they have military training, which Superman does not, but Superman should have had more experience with his powers.
He did, yeah. We saw him learn how to fly and all that. That part was cool too, and flying through the snow and all that shit. So
what I'm saying is when he starts turning his neck to kill people, that doesn't necessarily mean that he could have stopped him from doing that.
Right.
So
that's where, because I remember reading that, the way they wrote it is kind of like what you said. He was in a situation where he had no choice. But watching it, I'm like, you mean to tell me he couldn't just block the fucking laser rays and move my man out the way? He's getting ready to kill some people. Yeah, I know, but isn't Superman pretty damn strong?
Yeah, it's like in, what was it? Not Hitch. Was it Hitch? Yeah, Hitch. No, it wasn't Hitch. Well, my man's Will Smith playing the superhero.
Oh, Hancock.
Hancock.
Yes.
When he came and stopped the train went all over the thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, why couldn't you just go up?
Right.
But he could have just put his hand over the guy's eyes and whatever.
So as we say here, Adrian, the math wasn't mathing for me because Superman is the Boy Scout. He's the guy who's not gonna kill. And at least if you're gonna make him kill, put him in a spot where it really is that or nothing.
Right.
I'm like, as strong as he is, you couldn't. Now, if I'm strong enough to snap your neck.
I was going to say that. If you're strong enough to snap his neck, you're strong enough to keep his head from moving.
Thank you. So, no, the math ain't mathing. I think that was ridiculous. I think it's lazy when. Now, you can argue that you don't like the no-kill rule, things like that, but it exists.
Sure.
Right? I think it's lazy writing when you take a character that's part of his makeup, that's who he is, and you change that for the plot.
Right.
Come up with a better way for him to stop Zod.
Or stop Ben Affleck Batman from murdering the whole town.
Same thing, right? He's just drop, boom, boom, kill this one, kill that one. Like, dude, is he the Punisher in the bat suit or is he Batman? What are we doing here? So for some reason, Zack Snyder, if he's writing a character that doesn't kill, he's going to kill in the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
But I guess what we can do is we can thank him for killing the Snyderverse. See what I did there?
There you go.
So yeah, I don't think I don't glaze this movie as much as now you like this movie.
Yeah.
After I just shat all over it, but what do you like about this movie?
First of all, that Cavill's in it.
Yep.
He kind of rebooted the idea of what Superman should look like.
Okay.
Because remember, before him, it was Routh.
Right.
Skinny Superman.
Yep.
The thing I like about the Routh version of Superman was that, he was getting booty, had a baby. He was drinking.
Yep.
He was having sex. So he was doing the things that you never saw Superman do before.
Right.
Right.
He was later he was a more matured Superman, right?
Yes, the way they portrayed him, even though he looked like a year or two Superman.
Yeah.
Because he had went away for some years to find Krypton and then he came back. So that was the premise of the movie.
I might have to. You believe it or not, I've never seen that one either.
That's okay. That's okay. But when Cavill came back, when Cavill brought Superman back, it was like, okay, this guy embodies what Superman should look like. So that's one. Number two, I did like the way they did the history, Krypton and so on and so forth. I thought that was a little drawn out.
Yeah.
That was, probably because of the actor.
Oh yeah.
They had to give him 5 or 10 minutes or whatever, and then he ended up being through the rest of the movie as an AI.
Right.
But anyway, that was cool. Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
I did like the way they did that. Also, the flashbacks.
Yeah.
It wasn't. They didn't do hit the whole history all at once. They kind of did flashbacks, which I liked. I didn't like the whole Zod fighting thing. It's like the world gets introduced to Superman and then Zod shows up.
Right.
So it's like, damn.
And the world's kind of catering to Zod. Like, turn yourself into that guy. Like, what gives the world more trust in Zod than Superman, who's been here for 33 years?
Yeah.
But
hey. But I mean, it was cool to see him discover his powers. It was cool that because in most places, he has this glass crystal, he throws it into the Antarctic, it turns into this thing. He actually found a ship that had been there for thousands and thousands of years, which means that also opens up the premise that Kryptonians had been there before, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which also creates a way for them to come back at some point in the future. So I thought that was cool. Instead of creating this ice crystal thingy, you got this cool spaceship that's hanging out for the last 17,000 years or whatever.
Right.
But the only thing I didn't really like was, that fight scene at the end. I also didn't like the way Lois basically hunted him down and discovered who he was before he even became the Clark Kent, which blows the whole premise of the fact that, Lois didn't even know who Superman was. Now he shows up and, okay, Superman's here.
Would you say that Superman Returns, that's the Brandon Routh one, is better than Man of Steel?
No.
No, you like Man of Steel better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but I was just happy. The Brandon Routh Superman, the scene I liked most, actually the only scene I liked in the movie was the airplane falling out of the sky scene.
Okay.
So, but I was by that time so desperate for something from these comic book places that it was just cool to see.
Yeah.
But like I said, I will not go see any Superman movie.
Got it. And Brandon Routh, the Brandon Routh one, I've never seen it, but I know all about it. It's basically it's somewhat of a sequel to the original Superman movie. I think the first or the second, where it's supposed to be that same character, but years later.
Okay.
So he looks like a Christopher Reeves cosplayer. Not in a bad way.
Okay.
But I do want to check that one out. But Man of Steel, so that's my opinion of the movie. I think it was mid, honestly. I didn't hate it. I've seen a lot of movies that are worse. But I'm going back and forth on, was it better or worse than Batman vs. Superman? I don't know, because they both are very uneven.
Yeah.
I think let's just all agree maybe that, there's nothing personal about Zack Snyder, but maybe we keep him away from like these comic characters. I'm just saying, dude.
I'm just saying. I mean, to me, all of that stuff is the same to me. The Superman, the Aquaman, the Wonder Woman, the Justice League, it's all the same to me.
Like same level?
Same, I think so. Same level.
Got it.
I mean, there's, some of the shows have more high points, other low points. But to me, it's all the same kind of movie.
Would you say nothing was like top tier? It was all kind of mid or slightly better? Or
I mean, you can pick out some things like after they resurrected Superman and they're fighting the Horn guy in the Justice League, or the way they redrew Aquaman. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But outside of that, no.
Yeah, I think that's the misconception people get about when I say, I guess, negative things about the Snyderverse. I do believe that the Snyder Cut, the Justice League Snyder Cut, is better than just about all these other movies. Mm-hmm. But kind of to your point, that's maybe top tier, and even that is like a 6.5, maybe. Like, I think I would say Snyder Cut's like a 6. This movie's like a 4 or 5. Batman, nothing was like 7, 8, 9, 10.
Correct.
As a whole, the whole fucking thing pretty much sucked. It was just parts of it sucked less than the other parts that sucked more. Okay? That's how it's going down.
Damn.
Yes. So on that note, Adrian, we're bringing back all the throwbacks today. So you remember a game called What the Fuck, Rotten Tomatoes?
I do.
Well, we're going to play that with Man of Steel, okay? So this is AKA Critics vs. Audience. So if you're new with us, welcome. If you stood this long, shit, good for you. If you're not, if you're been here every week, you know what we're about to get into. Critics versus Audience. So Rotten Tomatoes, if you don't know, the way they do their scoring is completely fucked. They have some intern source a bunch of reviews, and then of those reviews, whatever percentage of the reviews are good, that turns into your Rotten Tomatoes critic score. So whatever reviews this intern decided to source today, and then you have the popcorn meter. This is the audience review, where at some point in their existence, Rotten Tomatoes, they decided to smarten up and say, if you're going to review the movie, Adrian, as an audience member, you got to show proof that you actually saw it, like with a ticket stub.
Okay.
Apparently, when it's a Disney Plus show like Ironheart, they don't have any requirements. You can fucking review the show 6 months before it's dropped. But, all right, so critics versus audience. I'm going to give you, Adrian, the critic score, the audience score, and we are going to pick, if we had to pick one of these scores, which one do we think is most accurate?
Got it.
The critics gave Man of Steel a 57% score on Rotten Tomatoes. The audience score for this same movie is 75%. You already know I'm going critics all day. 57, even that's a little high.
I'm going to go with the audience.
Okay, 75. Okay, leave it on a positive for your boy Soups, for Zack Snyder. So, well, there you have it. That is my Man of Steel review, if you want to call it that. Do I recommend?
Sounds like a Man of You shat upon.
Definitely. Do I want to watch it again? Nope, not at all.
Damn.
It's sad, though, that they didn't do better with. It's kind of like, if the same shit I said about Ben Affleck's Batman, I can say about Henry Cavill's Superman. Amazing cast.
Absolutely.
The look was amazing. The portrayal of that character with what he was given was great. But God, the people behind the scenes fucked it up.
Right.
So congratulations. You ruined it.
All right. So question. Zack Snyder's, Henry Cavill's Superman.
Yep.
Fantastic Four. Number 3. Galactus.
Oh, God. Fuck. Like the movie itself?
No, the portrayal.
Oh, I love Henry Cavill's portrayal. So
okay.
But fuck. A movie, Man of Steel, I would, believe it or not, fuck. I'd rather watch Fantastic Four.
Damn.
So, because that's the one with Silver Surfer.
Yep.
It's got the Galactus cloud. That's what you're talking about.
Yes.
I'd rather watch Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer than Man of Steel again. Yes.
And that will seem to follow how this Superman Fantastic Four thing is coming out.
You're saying that's like a prediction. Yeah, well, I guess, remains to be seen. But like you said, dude, it's out of nowhere. We're watching Superman this week, and then in like 2 weeks, Fantastic Four. So we will have that answer. So James Gunn, I know you don't want us to compare superhero characters because that's the dumbest conversation in the world. What we are going to do, we're going to watch your movie this week, and then we're going to compare it to Fantastic Four First Steps in a couple weeks. So
Absolutely.
There you go. Man of Steel, do I recommend this? No, definitely not. All right.